let's go back to your party, the PDP, and what is happening in Rivers State. Of course, the 27 lawmakers that defected cited several reasons, one of which is that there is division in the PDP. So I ask you pointedly, is there a division in the PDP? Don't forget that they cited the fact that the national secretary of the party is somebody they don't know exactly who they are dealing with at the moment.
Straight up, there's no division in the PDP. The PDP is one. The leadership of the PDP is together. The NWC is working together as a team. All the organs of the party are working. And I think it is unfortunate that you find people when they want to justify some irresponsibility and mischief, they'll bring in any reason. Section 109, subsection 1G is very, very clear. No ambiguity. And it says, the moment you decamp or you defect from your political party that sponsors you into a legislature, the Constitution said you shall lose that seat. Shall. It is automatic. And added to that, in that provision, it says you must not defect except there's a division in the party or there's a faction in the party. What is very reassuring is that this matter, this particular provision, has been tested from the trial court to Court of Appeal and to Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court has made it very clear and defined what a division means. And if I crave your indulgence, in 2015, in the case of Abegunde versus Ondo State House of Assembly and others, the Supreme Court was very, very emphatic and clear. And if you would oblige me, I will read to you what the Supreme Court said in that judgment as to determine what constitutes a division. So when people want to be mischievous, when two people speak against themselves in a party at any level, they define that as division. In any event, there are no two people, there are nobody in the leadership of the party that are quarreling. We're together. So please, for emphasis and for exactitude, I just crave your indulgence to read from that case of Abegunde and Ondo State House of Assembly. The Supreme Court said, and I said, the principle enunciated by the Supreme Court in the two cases of Goni and Attorney General Abubakar is to the effect, and this is very important, that only such factionalization, fragmentation, splintering, or division that makes it impossible or impracticable for a political party to function as such will justify a person's defection to another party and the retention of his seat for the unexpired term. Hear this. The division must affect the entire structure of the political party at the center. That is to say, national leadership. Otherwise, as rightly held by the trial court and the Court of Appeal in this case, the defector automatically, the word, automatically loses his seat. And that's where we are. When you defect, like the former 27 lawmakers have done, they automatically lose the seat. What is very frustrating about Nigeria is the fact that when there are pronouncements of court as to the certainty of a particular provision of the Constitution, sometimes we dance around it. This is clear. And the three courts in that case, from the trial court to Court of Appeal to Supreme Court, establish the fact that this is what constitutes or what can constitute a division or faction in the party, as to justify that. And that's why I rely on this constitutional provision. In section 109, subsection 2, and that's why we call on the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly to follow that provision which empowers him and requires him and directs him to declare those seats vacant. And because indeed they are vacant because of that defection. So, and we have written to the INEC to conduct election as appropriate on those 27 vacant positions.
Have you gotten a response yet from INEC?
Well, INEC is a notification. They need to know they are a party to those cases that I mentioned. And again, in March 2022, Justice Taiwo of the Federal High Court, equally, following the decision of the Supreme Court, declared 26 seats of members of crossover state House of Assembly who defected from the PDP to the APC. These are all things. In any event, what I can tell you is that I know by now the 27 former lawmakers will know, and I'm sure they have gone on a voyage of regret and political miscalculation. I know by now they are regretting that because those seats, 27 seats, are vacant, not by what I say, but by the operation of law, by the Constitution, and by confirmation and affirmation by the Supreme Court in the case I just mentioned.
Okay, speak to the issue that they raised about the national secretary of the party and the issues that even led the party to take that matter to court. One of the parties in that issue.
Yes. Okay. When you have a political party, there are interests, and the effectiveness of any political party is its capacity to reconcile different views, different situations, different considerations that arises. Because in any political party, just like in any human organization, you have conflicting interests. But your capacity to do that, and PDP is adept in doing that. Section 36, subsection 1, provide for the office of the National Secretary under our Constitution, the Article 36. In Article 36(2), it provides for the office of the Deputy National Secretary, who, according to that provision, is to assist the National Secretary and should act for him in his absence or as directed. So as it is today, these positions are there. So when the National Secretary is not available, the Deputy National Secretary steps in automatically without any discussion. That is what we have. And that has been going on. So if someone decides to raise an issue that is inconsistent with that provision, of course it's no issue. Because today, like I said, our party is running smoothly. When I leave here, we have a meeting this morning. Notice has been given adequately by the Deputy National Secretary who acts in the absence of the Secretary. And so there is no crisis, there's no division. Like I said earlier, it's a mischief to justify, to embark on a voyage that leads nowhere. And so they've gone on a voyage of frustration and political miscalculation. And I'm sure, like I said, because they can't justify this having regards to all the so-called division. Has it affected the performance or the activity of the party? The answer is no. Because we don't have two parties, we don't have two factions, we have one chairman, we have one NWC, one BOT, and they are all working seamlessly.
No faction at the moment.
No faction.
So how would you describe the action of one of your, strong men, Wike himself, the former governor of Rivers State, who seems to be in the PDP, but engaging in what many have termed as anti-party activities, working for the APC, and also daring the PDP to come after him, which the PDP seems to have lacked the strength, or should I say I don't know how best to put it, to deal with over the years. And remembering that the stand of Wike has cost the party a lot, even in recent past. So should you allow this to happen, his so-called followers leaving the party, and what's that portends for your party as well?
Okay, I mean, as much as possible, we try to focus on party administration and management, including discipline. But like I said earlier, in a political party, what you do is to try and see that you have a convergence of different opinions and create a consensus in moving forward. What I can tell you is that there's no one individual that's bigger than this party. And that's why it is not owned by an individual. That is why it's called People's Democratic Party. And when people act inconsistent with the principles and the provisions of the constitution they subscribe to as members, consequences follow. But there are steps that needs to be taken. We're a law-abiding party. We follow the law. We respect court decisions, irrespective of how we feel about it, and we navigate that going through that.
What is the position of your party in disciplining anybody who engages in anti-party activities?
Again, there are provisions there. You see, when you go into a political party, what you do is not to rush to begin to discipline. You're going to see, are these people, can they be reformed? At what level? But in doing that, you still need to follow what I call due process. But I can tell you.
Or is the PDP afraid of Mr. Wike? Because he has dared you several times.
When you say this word, you're probably promoting an individual beyond their capacity.
I'm not promoting him. I'm saying that he has, on several fora, dared the PDP to come after him.
Okay, fine. You see, the challenge is this. We're a political party. We don't join issue with individual because they said, oh, you come after me, and then we'll begin to come after. We will follow the process. And like I said, you referenced the 27 people. I've said they've gone on a voyage of political miscalculation. And I can tell you they feel it that way. Irrespective of who is funding that or who is inciting that. But Governor Wike had not come out to say that, yes, he's endorsing this. And he has said it repeatedly. Then the video evidence where he said that if you are elected on the platform of a political party, particularly PDP, and in his word he said, we'll give you an umbrella. And then the next day you say you are defected. Then you cannot transfer votes. Governor Wike is knowledgeable enough. That is why I want to believe that he is not part of this. Because if he knows better, knowing that the consequences of this will be that they lose their seat, and that's why today I can tell you, those 27 members are probably going into political wilderness. And Governor Wike ought to, because I know if indeed he's involved, which I suspect he's not, that's my own feeling, because I know that he knows better than to say go on this voyage that will lead to nowhere. It's like going on a voyage of perdition. But I do know that the PDP is willing to have a committee, because you see, there are categories of anti-party. Some people do it quietly, some do it surreptitiously, some do it loudly. But in each of those, you must investigate, you must give them fair hearing, because that is the bedrock of association. And so what we are saying is that in Rivers State, and for God's sake, Governor Wike recognized that PDP had been his life. He knows that. And he should appreciate that this is a platform from local government chairman to other positions he has held in government up to now, and he should recognize that. And that's very important. But in all of this, it is a misconception to imagine that somebody will be in this party and that the party will not be able to discipline. I'm sure in the event of the last 48 hours can begin to reveal to you that indeed there must be an end to some of these actions and some of this that is inconsistent with the peace of a political party. And the NWC will be meeting this morning. We have an emergency meeting. We'll consider all these issues. And all of these issues will be coming on. And there are committees. Again, you see, when people talk about, oh, you have not disciplined, you have not done this. We went to an election in February and March. There were cases at the tribunal. It will be an inauspicious time for us to begin to say, no, you didn't do this, you didn't do that well during the election. So it is important. Now we are at the stage of saying, where are we? Let's have a review. And that process is starting in earnest.
All right, starting in earnest. Okay, so let's go back to Rivers State and what is happening there. At some point after that attack at the State Assembly complex, there seemed to be a ceasefire somewhat, particularly when we heard that the president tried to wade into the matter to see how this crisis can be resolved and told them to go home and make peace. But, you know, at some point, it would look like what we saw that time was piece of the graveyard, particularly after we saw these defections and the issues that it has thrown up.
Yeah.
Is the rift between this godfather and son irreconcilable?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know Godfather son and Godfather or Godson. But I do know that in River State, if we must have peace, then the law must take its course. And that's why we go back to the Constitution. If you, in your mischief or inordinate ambition or recklessness, as I may refer to that, decides to go into a political oblivion by reason of this ill-informed defection, then the law should take its course. And that's why the provisions of the Constitution, Section 109, 1G, will kick in. And that has kicked in anyway because they've lost their seats and their positions are vacant. The governor is a quiet man, easygoing, that had tried privately and publicly, trying to ensure that, yes, he has to bring his people together. He has a duty to lead them as governor. He should be governor to all River State citizens and those that live there. And therefore, he shouldn't be seen as someone who is eager to begin to deploy state apparatus against his citizens. And that he has done so far. We hope and we believe and we expect that whoever or those that might be behind all this new rise should recognize that it is only in a peaceful atmosphere that you can have a River State that will develop, that will be peaceful, and that the people can live happily in the state. And so it's on leadership, it's on responsibility. It's on recognizing that you find yourself in a state in life at a certain time. And what you should do is to do that which is right, in line with the law, and for humanity, so that you can be remembered for something. And so that's our expectation, that's our hope. But we, as a party, we're speaking. And like I said, when you do reconciliation, you don't go under the clear lights or on the street, on pages of newspaper to advertise that. There are conversations and there are rapprochement going on, and we believe that this would happen. But the law must take its course, the constitution must be obeyed, and we've called on the Speaker. He has a duty, has an obligation to formally declare that. And of course, INEC has a duty, has obligation to begin to prepare for elections to fill those vacancies that exist right now.
So this conversation you say is going on. Is the PDP as a party championing this? And I'm asking this because the governor and the immediate past governor of Rivers State, as far as we know, are still members of the People's Democratic Party. But some have said the governor doesn't even seem to be, you know, in touch with the national body of your party. And we are also, that's also part of what the people are capitalizing as a rift or maybe a division in the party, because it would seem like there's a division, so to speak, maybe not at the national executive level, but in between people who are leaders in the party as well.
Again, I mean, I like the word when your choice of word is so soothing. It says seems. That's an appearance. But like I said, I described Governor Fubara as someone that is, it's not very loud. You may not see him.
How close is the governor to the National Executive Council of the party?
It's as close as all the governors of the party should be, and because he knows that this is his base, this is this party that sponsored him. There could be more improvement in that relationship because they are leaders of the party. What is expected of them is that they will get closer to the leadership in ensuring that we have a common front in dealing with all the issues that concern the party. We expect more because you can never get enough relationship. But we expect that more of our parties, of our governors and all National Assembly members will come together particularly at this time, that Nigeria needs PDP because we cannot afford a one-party state. And the only way to avoid that is to ensure that we work together as one body of PDP so that Nigerians can have hope. As it is right now, everything goes to National Assembly, it is passed. You are appointed resident electoral commissioners. Within 2 hours, they were cleared. The Senate itself even violated its own rule of having to send nominees to committees for consideration. They were never done. They were done at plenary and so many other things. That is not democracy. We are interested in democracy, irrespective of the outcome of the elections. No matter how we feel about it, we are accepted. We may not be happy with it because we don't believe in it. We can't really litigate that. But the challenge now for this country is to ensure that democracy thrives and we sustain it. And the only way we can sustain it is to have a viral opposition. That's why every stakeholder must recognize the need that I have a duty at this point to come together and then begin to create alternative government and voices for the people of Nigeria so that that duty of government for the security and welfare of the people can be sustained. And the only way to do that is that you have alternative views, suggestions. We have our views about the economy. We know that some policies were ill-timed, ill-advised, ill-implemented, and that's why we're having this crisis in the petroleum sector and every other sector.
All
So
right.
for us, we know PDP must come together, and we're appealing to every member or stakeholders to come together for the purpose of the people,
All
not
right.
just for the party.
Come together for the purpose of the people, not just the party.